Recently, Reserve Bank of India has released its 22nd Financial Stability Report. In fact, it is a joint assessment by all the financial sector regulators as part of Committee of Financial Stability and Development Council, a committee which was set up in 2010. Since then, several reports are released which provides information to the financial sector at large. Now coming to the importance of Financial Stability Report of December 2020 is that it has been released during the period of pandemic, which is a very stressful period for the financial sector, and it has been negotiating with the challenges and several constraints, and the whole financial sector has been ravaged by the unexpected onslaught of the pandemic. Now, coming to the contents of the Financial Stability Report, it has highlighted two important aspects. First is the stretched pricing of the financial assets in the market, which can pose risk for the financial system, and the difference between the real economy and the prices of these financial products which are listed in the market. Now, as far as financial sector in India is concerned, it is a bank driven economy, and banks have a predominant role in driving the financial intermediation system. NBFCs are also growing, but as of now, the asset size of the financial system, that is 210 trillion we can say, and out of that 180 trillion belongs to the banking system, and about 30 to 32 trillion comes from NBFCs. So, a greater role is played by the banking system in driving the financial intermediation process in the country. Hence, the stability of the banking system holds much more significance. Banking stability indicator is based on 5 most important indicators. They are the asset quality, profitability, liquidity, efficiency and soundness. And a lot of information is analyzed to arrive at these indicators and as to how it is going to pan out in the next 6 months or 1 year to come. So, this holds a great significance to the financial system, as they can devise suitable strategies to meet the oncoming challenges. Now, as far as the banking system is concerned, 2 most important indicators which are flagged in the report are about the state of asset quality and capital adequacy ratio, that is capital to risk weighted assets ratio. That is these are the 2 most important. Of course, liquidity is another aspect of financial stability, which is abundantly provided by RBI through a lot of innovative windows, and sector specific liquidity has also been provided. But among all these parameters, the most important one will always be the asset quality. Now, asset quality of the banking system in India has seen many ups and downs. Right from the time the banking sector reforms have been rolled out, way back in 1993, the gross non-performing assets of the banking system have touched 23%. That was very high at that point of time. But looking to the asset size, now the asset quality is much more a matter of concern. Now, what has happened is in 2015-16, when asset quality review was introduced by RBI to address the issue of correct classification of the NPA levels, because there were a lot of divergences between the data provided by the banks and the data that is assessed by the regulators. So, there were a lot of divergences. To address that, asset quality review was launched in 2015-16, and that led to correct classification of assets of the banking system, and the forbearance of restructuring of assets at a concessional provision of 5% has also been dispensed with. With these two policy changes, the asset quality of the banking system has been assessed, and the NPAs of the banks have started rising because more and more NPAs were classified during the period 2015-16 to 2017-18. As a result, the banking system has seen a high of 11.2% in 2017-18 gross non-performing assets. But after that, when RBI imposed prompt corrective action on many of the banks, and insolvency and bankruptcy code has been put in place, NCLT has started speeding the recovery process. All these tools, combined with the efforts of the banks in recovering the NPAs, have brought down the NPA levels to a low of 7.5% by September 2020. So, it was a very good job done as far as the banking system is concerned, and the net NPAs have come down to 2.2%. So, that was another benchmark of lower level of NPAs. But because of this pandemic, there were two reasons for the NPAs to fall. One is the standstill clause for the classification of NPAs because of the pandemic, and second, there were so many other relaxations which have been given by RBI, moratorium was given, and a lot of other concessions were given, as a result of which the NPAs have come down. NPAs of the banking system will rise to 13.5% in baseline stress situations. And in case the situation goes very adverse, so in the case of severe stress, the NPAs will go up to 14.8%. A 14.8% will be a 2-decade high as far as the asset quality is concerned. So, the deterioration of the asset quality is is of a great concern. But one thing which has happened in September 2020 is the provision coverage ratio has improved very drastically, I would say 72.4%. That means a lot of stress of the banking system has been provided for. But the likely rise in the level of gross NPAs in the next 6 months, when standstill clause is removed for asset classification, the impact will be on the capital adequacy of the banks. Capital adequacy ratio, which is at a very comfortable level, I would say 15.8% as of September 2020. But in the case of baseline scenario, it is going to go down to 14%. In the case of medium stress, the capital adequacy ratios may go down to 13.3%, and if it is a severe stress, the NPAs can go even down to 12.5%. While at the aggregate level, banks will be able to manage the capital adequacy ratio and will be able to comply with the Basel Committee norms, but some of the banks, weaker banks, may not be able to comply with the minimum requirement of capital. So, they will not be able to lend. So, these will be the constraints which will be as an offshoot of lower capital adequacy ratio. What are the further challenges for the banking system that we need to flag, so that the stability can be ensured for the banking system? The most important is expansion of credit, which is at a very low level. 5.7% is the credit growth, which is very low, and accessing of capital from the market will be a big challenge to overcome the capital adequacy ratio problems. And by March 2021, that is from 1st of April 2021, the Basel Committee 3 will have to be fully implemented. That is 9% minimum capital adequacy ratio and 2.5% capital conservation buffer. This has to be complied. As of now, the last bit of Basel Committee recommendations, that is capital conservation buffer of 0.625 was postponed till March 2021, which was scheduled to be complied up by 2020. So, as a result of that, the banks will be under pressure to augment additional capital in the next 6 months. So, the financial stability report very clearly highlights the two big challenges before the banks, that is the asset quality management on the one side and the augmentation of capital. Either the government has to infuse capital in the public sector banks, and the public sector banks NPAs are much higher than the system's NPAs. So, that aspect also needs to be addressed. So, putting all these perspectives together, financial sector stability report provides a very good indications to the banks as to how to strategize to tackle the ongoing pandemic driven challenges and also the post pandemic challenges. So, restructuring of assets according to Kamath Committee recommendations will be one aspect which needs to be tackled on priority, and the government guaranteed loans up to 3 trillion that have to be fully disbursed, so that not only the entrepreneurs will get the relief, but the banks also will have a relief in the sense that the loan books will increase, but the risk weight on these assets will carry only 0 risk because it is a government guaranteed loans. So, as a result of which the pressure on the capital adequacy to that extent may come down. So, going by the whole analysis, banks will have to pinpoint their attention on credit growth, NPA management, capital augmentation, and focusing on fee based income to augment profitability, and of course, the risk management and other aspects will have to be strengthened in the long run. So, thank you very much.